All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel. And today I'm super pumped and excited to have on the channel John Bush. He's a fellow Texan, so obviously I had to have him on. He's got a lot of exciting things happening and going on, so I wanted to get him on so you could hear his story. His story resonates with us. It resonates with many people. It resonates with a lot of our subscribers, and we get asked questions all the time. We've been we've been trying to motivate people to get out of the metropolises and the flashpoints and the heavily congested areas for about the last 6 or 7 years now. And that's what we did 9 years ago. And we strategically relocated. And John, y'all have recently, just in the past couple of years, bought a homestead and started this whole kind of more agrarian type permaculture movement. And so tell us a little bit about what your background is, where you were from, and what was the motivating factors to make this move.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. My name is John Bush. I was born and raised in Austin, Texas, which was a great city for a while. Lots of great swimming holes, cool people, live music, but it most definitely went down by the wayside, and the government became increasingly authoritarian and like weird, woke, left, progressive stuff. So I always had a vision to own a homestead and to do an intentional community where we have community members living there with us.
Cool.
When I linked up with my lovely wife, Rebecca, we both kind of combined our energies and our vision. She had the same goal as well. And just a couple years ago, we moved out to a 10-acre homestead just east of Austin in Bastrop County. So a lot of the motivation had to do with on the one hand, it was reactive, right? We wanted to get out of the city, not only because the city itself is becoming more authoritarian, more surveillance cameras, but with the COVID stuff that took place, it got really, really nasty as far as all the masks and vaccine requirements here and there, and just people got weird. I prefer to be with more conservative country folk that are just friendly and don't care, more independent, and could care less if you're wearing a mask or not. So
Right.
that was a big eye opener. And then for 20 years now, I've explored the conspiratorial view of history, just these ideas that, not all world events are random. Some of them are contrived even. And so that's, in my belief, what took place with all this COVID stuff. It's leading to
Yep.
this great reset idea where there's going to be mass surveillance, merging biology and technology. It's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This smart city concept, Internet of Things,
Yep.
interconnected devices, all this garbage. And so I knew for a while that we had to get out of the city, and the COVID stuff was the deciding factor where we decided, we got to go ahead and make that move. So we moved
Yep.
into a tiny home for a couple years. We saved money while we put the deposit down on a 10-acre homestead. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made because the country life is definitely much preferable.
That is great. If you notice my t-shirt, it says, "You will eat the bugs and own nothing and be happy."
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
Classic.
definitely resonate with the technocratic, dehumanization of humanity, which is
Hmm.
what's going on.
Yeah. It's the
And
real
so,
deal.
so John, what are you growing out on your homestead? What kind of projects do you got going on out there?
Sure, sure. So we have some food in the ground, although that's been a challenge. One of our challenges, of course, is I'm at the office right now. Our office is 15 minutes away, so I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship. We have a few big
That's great.
companies, one big company. Those are a little bit smaller that we operate. There's like 15 or 17 people that work with us, and we spend a lot of time here at the office. So thankfully, though, we have some community members that live on the property with us. But I tell you what, whenever I get the farm days in, we got a full day of sweating out and getting our hands dirty. It's definitely some of the most fulfilling time to spend. But we have some wicking bed gardens. So a wicking bed is like a
Cool.
container. We took an IBC tank, you cut it in half, and then we have decomposed granite for this reservoir. And then you
Hmm.
lay garden cloth, and then you put the soil in, and then you plant your plants. And the idea is that the roots of the plants wick the water up. So we have 16 of those. Um,
Great.
they haven't popped off very well, unfortunately. I think we might have put them too close to these pecan trees. So we also have a
Okay. Yeah.
pecan orchard. We have like 42, I think, 38 or 42 pecan trees scattered throughout the
Cool.
property. We have some chickens. I've always found it's easier to raise chickens and get sustenance from chickens than it is to take something from seed to fruit. There's a lot more factors in growing vegetables than there are with chickens. You just basically got to feed them and make sure they don't get killed, or the snakes don't start
Predation.
eating the eggs.
Yeah.
We recently started this something called a tower garden. So it can be indoors or it can be outdoors, but it uses what's called aeroponics. And so you have like a water reservoir at the bottom. It pumps up water to the top of this tower, and then it drops the water, drips it down on the roots of all these plants. So we got a bunch of leafy greens and some herbs and stuff going there. So that's
Cool.
about
Sounds
the
pretty high
extended
tech.
food production. We have some
Yeah.
cattle. We bought some cattle. We're waiting for them to get a little bit bigger, and we're gonna have my son raise a few cattle on the ranch too. So we're excited to do that.
Awesome. What kind of cows you got?
They're gonna be Black Angus.
Black Angus. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Yeah. So we have Longhorn. We have a couple Black Angus, and we've been growing cows for the last 3 years, and we have about 20 head now. And
Nice.
you're gonna be, with all your food that you're trying to grow, you're gonna be like, wow, cows are the easiest. You let them do their thing, and they're cultivating the soil and keeping the grass down, and y'all are gonna be real happy with your cows that you did that, especially with what they're doing to our meat and the systematic elimination of nutrient dense protein that they're trying. They really want to starve us out. But
Yeah.
so you were from the city, you saw the need to migrate to the country to get some space, to get some dirt, to get your hands in the dirt, to proactively start to raise your own food and simultaneously grow community. What we talk about a lot on our channel is parallel society, parallel community, parallel economy, and we're seeing these different pockets. And we talk about self-reliance, but the thing about self-reliance is you can't do it by yourself. You need the community. And so that's why this is really neat what I think y'all are doing. The main reason I wanted to have you on, John, is you have an upcoming event, the Exit and Build event, that's going to be a live event in Bastrop, and you're going to be able to attend virtually or in real life and all that stuff. And there's going to be lots of awesome people there. Our buddy Curtis Stone's going to be there. I know Jack Spirko is going to be there. Patrick Wood's going to be speaking there. I'm a huge fan of Patrick Wood, so I was like, man, this is like a culmination of like all these awesome people. I thought for a second Richard Grove was going to be there, but I know Autonomy is going to be there, and they're promoting the event. So tell us about your event that's coming up, and fill us in on why y'all decided to start this event, and what it's going to be like, what it's going to encompass and entail.
Sure. Yeah, so the event's called the Exit and Build Land Summit, and it's about this strategy that we've come up with called Exit and Build. Sorry, there we go. All right. I got my buddy Brad here. Give it up for Nomad Brad, ladies and gentlemen. He lives on our property. Really incredible guy. That helps a lot with all sorts of projects.
Man.
Very handy guy. Anyway, we've adopted this strategy called Exit and Build. And so rather than voting, rather than lobbying, rather than yelling at government buildings, which everybody seems to love to do, it's all about exiting the systems that we disagree with, exiting systems that are no longer serving us, and building new ones. So when you say parallel systems, parallel economies, that's really what it's all about. And with the Exit and Build Land Summit in particular, we're encouraging people to exit the smart cities and build community in the country. So we've assembled an all-star cast of speakers. Like you were saying, we got some really heavy hitters. We have Jeff Lawton, who arguably he's one of the leading guys on permaculture. He'll be joining us virtually. He's in Australia, but we have him for a 2-hour virtual workshop where we're going to get to pick his brains and ask all sorts of questions about permaculture. We have Michael Reynolds. He's the guy behind the Earthship, which is pretty cool, from New Mexico. He'll be joining us in person. Patrick Wood is probably the biggest expert on technocracy. He's going to teach us about smart cities. My good friend Jack Spirko, he's always a crowd pleaser. He's got that passion, and he's with us on the whole building of the parallel systems and agorism too. This idea that we should not compete within the system. Let's build new systems and compete with the system. Really excited to have Curtis Stone as well. He's going to teach us how to find the perfect homestead. But it's not just about passively watching presenters. That's a big part of it, right? We want to learn and we want people to share knowledge so everyone can take their exit and build game to the next level. But we really work in a lot of cool stuff, especially for people that are joining us in person. It's a 5-day event if you're in person. So day 1 and day 5, we're actually going out in Central Texas. There's 4 different tours organized. Each one of the tours visits, goes to a different region in Central Texas and visits 2 homesteads or farms or properties.
That's awesome.
There's workshops, there's farm to table lunches that people can purchase. And then the 3 days in between are the conference days, and you get a farm to table meal each day included with your ticket. And the food, a lot of it's going to come from the very farms that people are touring on day 1 and day 5. So we also are doing something called power networking. So we're going to facilitate for people that are getting a virtual immersion pass and they're watching online all 3 days. You can sign up for free and watch the first day and a half. No problem, no risk whatsoever. You even get some cool bonuses even for signing up for free. Or you get this virtual pass. You watch all 3 days. You get to watch from a Zoom room, so the chat is always fire. But then what we do is we bring you up. We may bring these 4 screens here, although my team hates breaking them down and moving them all over. But we bring all the Zoom participants on a big screen so the audience can see the Zoom people see the audience. And then when it comes time for Q&A, we alternate between the virtual audience and the in-person audience. So you actually get to be pulled up on the screen and engage with the speaker. Really exciting. Awesome. You get the replays and all sorts of bonuses as well. So we're giving people a lot of different ways to attend, but by far being there in person is the best experience. We're going to facilitate all sorts of networking and really helping people to connect with folks that are looking to move to Tennessee. Maybe folks want to move down to Mexico. Maybe people want to build a community based on Christian principles. Maybe there's people that have kids. Maybe there's folks that are obsessed with technology or cryptocurrency that want to connect. So we're going to do our best to make sure you're not just getting the knowledge that you need to execute on these ideas, but you're finding people to execute on these ideas with.
This is so huge. And the really neat thing is the way you integrated the information with the different authorities in this field, and then also illustrating the implementation. I mean, because that's always the hardest part, is like, well, where do you start? And what we say all the time is action cures fear, right? And so it's so overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, well, what do I do first? And what do I plant first? And what if I plant it wrong? And what if all my chickens die or whatever? And then when these people can take these real working farm tours, and 1, it's going to give them lots of ideas, but 2, they're going to be like, oh, wow, like this stuff works. And the one thing that I think has been beneficial by the whole pandemic thing, other than, kind of ripping the mask off of the agenda, is a lot of people are waking up to the need to, 1, know where their food comes from. But with all this artificially generated scarcity, it's making these real farms more financially viable. By them manipulating the food and coating it with stuff and spraying it in stuff and injecting it with stuff, people that actually care about their food and want to holistically raise their food and provide that or share that or barter that with others, the value of that food has risen exponentially. So now, where a starting farmer maybe 5 years ago would have really struggled to have a profitable venture, it's looking much more profitable now, where, because the biggest challenge with permaculture is, by design, it has to be on a smaller scale. And big ag is like, well, you scale, and you do it at scale, and it's a smaller profit margin, but it's a higher volume, so that's how you make it work, even though they still require massive government subsidies. Whereas on a permaculture level, where you have a smaller not commercial type setup, you can now take a much smaller setup, and at a real cost per pound, whether it's chickens or whether it's cows, you can actually be profitable. And so you can be self-sustaining and actually make a profit and add value to your community.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say I believe, but it's a fact. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So whenever I think they pushed too hard with this whole pandemic thing,
Yep.
they obviously had an agenda. There's been a lot of plans and plots that have been in place for decades, if not
Hmm.
centuries. So some of these secret society roundtable groups, they like pass on
Yep.
this agenda to the next generation. And I think they overplayed their hand. I think they pressed too hard.
I agree.
They exposed themselves as the totalitarian control freaks that they really are. And it really woke a lot of people up. And it caused people, not just people that like they went all the way and they're like, I recognize there's this new world order scheme here that they're calling the Great Reset. I see what this is. I'm going to do my research. But just your average run of the mill folks, they now know that we shouldn't trust public health. The
Yeah.
food supply chains are completely vulnerable and broken. And there's almost like a renaissance. We also see a resurgence of people moving out to the country, especially
Yep.
moving out of these like blue states and blue cities like New York and California, San Francisco. So I'm very optimistic. And you're right. Like you said, people recognize that the old way of doing things, this is what they say too. We can't go back to the old normal, right? We need this new normal.
Right.
Well, I agree. We can't go back to the old way of doing things, but we need to take charge and create a life that's in alignment with our values. And a big piece of that is decentralizing the food supply. So we've really made it a big point to go meet our local ranchers. We got a
Right.
chest freezer full of pork and beef. We just bought a half a cow, another half a cow recently.
Awesome.
Bought half a pig recently with Bitcoin. So we decentralized the food,
Awesome.
decentralized the money.
Yeah.
But
Love
we're
it.
encouraging people. This is something that Texas Slim, I don't know if you're familiar with him and the Beef
Yep.
Initiative.
Beef initiative.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as soon as learned about him on Twitter, I was like, this is the same message we're teaching our Freedom Cell network. By the way, we've
Yeah.
built a community
Cool.
of 39,000 people that think like we do and are looking to meet up and get together in person to work on freedom projects. People can tap into the
Great.
network at freedomcells.org. But we've hosted meetings
Okay.
recently, and it's just like, hey guys, we all know the problem. We don't need to review it. Let's identify local food producers in our area, both the commercial folks that are part of our community or on the outside of our community, and then folks that are growing food in their backyard. Is there anybody that doesn't have a garden going? Okay, let's go hang out at your place next weekend and help you get started. Let's all start
That's
giving our
great.
business to these people that are really putting in the hard work to support their local communities with food. Regenerative agriculture, of course, is the big focus, and so I would encourage everybody to do that if they're not. It's integral for our survival, but also like to be a beacon and broadcast it like you're doing on the show. Let everybody else know there's another way to live. Not only is it going to make your family more secure from collapse and all these terrible things they're injecting into the cattle, but more importantly, we're going to show people that there's a better way to live.
That is great. So what we'll do, John, is we'll put the links below. We'll put the links to the Exit and Build Summit. We'll put the links to the Freedom Cell Network, and then also, what's your mothership company? Brave Botanicals. Is that your? Is that like your? Is that's kind of how you started, right? With Brave Botanicals, that company. You started Brave Botanicals, didn't you?
Yep. Brave Botanicals. We got our cup here right now. I've
Cool,
actually been
cool.
self-employed since 2009, so I've started plenty of companies and organizations, but only a few of them have survived over the years. But
That's how it
Brave
works.
Botanicals was one of the ones that was a success. Started that in 2016. We sell high quality kratom, which is a natural plant medicine, helps with stress, anxiety, focus, energy. There's other varieties that help with pain, relaxation. A lot of people take instead of prescription pain medicine. I can share some
Awesome.
links about that with you as well if
Yeah,
your
that'd be
audience want to
great.
try. We actually give away a free
Yep.
ounce of kratom for free just for people to try
Great.
because they shut down my
Okay.
Facebook advertising account and made a big
Of
stink
course.
because the federal government doesn't like it because they're in bed with the
Yep.
pharmaceuticals. But
Big
yeah,
pharma.
Brave
Yep.
Botanicals is our natural products company. We do Delta 8 and CBD and stuff too. But on top of that, Live Free Academy is the company I started April 2021. That is the outfit that puts on the Exit and Build Land Summit. We teach people how to use Bitcoin. We talk a lot about entrepreneurship
Great.
and success. And it's really just about helping people to break through their limiting beliefs so they can realize, wow, I can really do a lot more. I'm not even living up to my full potential. I've been doubting myself for so long. I can make stuff happen if I first choose to believe in myself. And then we help them adopt the right strategy to get things done. How do I get from here to there? We bring together communities of people so we can all work together on these common goals. And finally, we really push people to take massive action, because if we were going to change the world, and if we're going to change our lives and live like a good life where we're excited to wake up in the morning, where we have a career that lights our heart on fire instead of dreading it and drudgery on the way to the office, it's going to take massive action in order to pull that off. So that's really what we focus on at Live Free Academy.
That's awesome. So yeah, we'll put all of those links down below. And so the Exit and Build Summit is coming up. Does it start May 18th?
It's coming up hot. Yeah, if you come in person, and again, there's still in-person tickets available. We're expecting
Great.
maybe over 400 people are going to be there. If you come in person,
Awesome.
it starts on the 18th of May. That's when the first farm tour
Okay.
day is, and then the 22nd
Excellent.
is the last day for farm tours. But there's 3 days of conferences. So if you join for free online, first day and a half, or if you get the virtual immersion pass and get all 3 days, that's the 19th, 20th, and 21st of May coming up next weekend.
So y'all are getting an inordinate amount of information here. We're going to put all the links down below for any of y'all that says, what about this? And what about that? And how do I buy land? And what do I do first? This is going to be a concentrated amount of information that's going to answer an enormous amount of questions. So I'm going to highly encourage y'all to investigate this, look into the information, participate in it. I'm pretty excited about it. I really appreciate most, if not all, I probably will appreciate the rest of the people involved. I just haven't met them or heard their material yet. So I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm really, John, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on so that we can push this info out to our people. And do you have any closing comments or closing thoughts as we wrap up the video?
No, we'd love folks in your audience to join us at the event in person, online. The entire thing is crafted to help crack you open. And if you're somebody that wants to dive deeper with the homesteading, maybe you even have a homestead already, you got some land on the outside of town, especially if you're somebody that's in the city and you're not satisfied or you see where things are going, the event is designed to help move you closer towards your goals. Not only the information that's going to be shared, but the people that are going to be there, high caliber, high quality folks that are looking to work alongside other like-minded people that share the same values, work together on common goals. So a lot of people have been completely transformed by the event. We have a very keen eye towards mindset and like empowering people, not just giving the information, the mechanics, how to do this, how to do that,
Yep.
but pushing people hard so that they can really step into their power and make stuff happen in their lives. So people are really going to enjoy what it is that we put together. And we've got a really solid cast of speakers. And I think beyond the speakers too, the people that'll be at the event are really good, wholesome folks that we'd love for you to get to know. So I appreciate you giving me the time to come on and share about this event.
All right. Thanks, John. Well, we appreciate you all for watching, and check out the links down below, and we will see y'all on the next video.